Here's how you can use our Vuforia experience to help you with your distillation column practical. All you're going to need is a smartphone with an updated Vuforia experience app. Pause the video now and scan the QR code to start your distillation column experience. Once you're in, you should see an instruction guide. Tap the Start button to dismiss it once you've read it. You can always bring back this instruction guide by tapping the Show Instructions button on the bottom of the screen. Now point your camera at a suitable spot and tap the screen to place your column setup. You can move the column around with one finger. If you pinch with two fingers, you can zoom in and out of the model, and you can use the two-finger rotating gesture to spin the column around. You should see two columns, a packed column to the left and a sieve tray column to the right. These systems are identical other than the internals of these two distillation columns. On top of the screen, there is a toggle labeled See Internals. Enabling this allows you to see the insides of the distillation column setup. Note the packing on the left and the sieve trays on the right. The toggle in the middle, labeled Explode Columns, separates the components of the experimental setup, showing you how they're put together. The last toggle, labeled Show Annotations, brings up a cross-section view of the condenser, the reflux drum, and the distillation column, showing a simplified view of how each component works. You can also tap each component to learn more about what it does and its normal operational parameters. Likewise, you can also tap the stream labels for the feed, tops, and bottoms to learn their temperature and what their composition actually is. Now let's go through the process step by step. We are distilling a liquid ethanol and water mixture. This is heated up in a heat exchanger and pumped into the middle of the column. It enters at about 80 degrees Celsius. This is hot enough for the ethanol to evaporate into vapors, but still cool enough for the water to remain liquid. The distillation column is where the hot mixture has plenty of surface area for heat and mass transfer. The water condenses and flows downwards with gravity, while the ethanol continues to evaporate and travels upwards. The tops fluid, which is mostly ethanol vapors, enters the shell side of the condenser. The tube side has cooling water. Here, the ethanol condenses into a liquid phase and falls out into the reflux drum. In the reflux drum, some of the ethanol is recycled back into the distillation column, while the rest drains out into a collection vessel. Likewise, the bottom's liquid is primarily water. This falls into the reboiler, where it is heated back up and part of it is collected, while part of it is recycled back into the distillation column. The reflux and reboiler streams help improve product quality. In our case, the distillation column takes a mixture of about 70% ethanol and converts that into 80% ethanol for the top stream, while the bottom's outlet is about 70% water. Now a note on safety. This experiment does have its fair share of hazards. Tap the Show Safety button on the bottom of the screen to bring up the risk assessment for this experimental setup. The column, reboiler, heat exchangers, and much of the piping gets hot enough to potentially cause second to third degree burns. The hottest parts of this column setup are insulated, and there are temperature indicators placed on the hot streams to mitigate some of this risk. There are also combustible ethanol vapors present in the equipment. We mitigate this by ensuring that the equipment is leak tested and working in a well-ventilated area to prevent vapor buildup. Some of the electrical equipment is powered by 240-volt AC, which does pose an electric shock hazard. This is mitigated by insulated contacts and the residual current detector, or RCD, on the circuit. Finally, we are distilling ethanol, which can cause irritation to the skin, eyes, and lungs. Therefore, you should definitely wear appropriate PPE, that's covered clothing, enclosed footwear, and safety glasses. Safe distilling!